We get an average of 10 to 12 feet of snow. We get snow from mid-November till the end of April. If I were a travel agent, I would have a special promotion for you. I would say, come and enjoy a white Christmas in Quebec City, or you get your money back. Some close calls, but we always have snow for Christmas. Looked like it was. Made it look like it was here in Quebec City, but no, it was north of Quebec. So 6, 7, 8 hours, those wildfires. And while up there, they spend all summer long begging for rain. Well, here in Quebec City, they spend all summer long begging for the rain to stop. It's amazing. It's been a very, very wet summer. And I know that Washington, D.C., New York State got some lots of smoke from these wildfires. And in the meantime, here in Quebec City, we have nothing. Because here was colder, so because of the cold air, the smoke sort of deflected around. So while we had a blue sky in Quebec City, then I was getting texts from friends in the United States saying how sorry they felt for us. But now all the smoke was getting into the United States, while here in Quebec City, all summer long we had nothing because it was cold. Here on your right, that is the Museum of Civilization. This is what we call a hands-on museum where you can touch, you can experience. So you're always quite active in a museum like this one. You know what is the meaning of the word Quebec?
No.
Quebec is an Indian word that means high taxes. Have you been shopping here? Well, the saying here that says I'm Canadian, tax me, and I'm from Quebec, re-tax me. We tax the tax, but no, seriously, the meaning is right here on your left. Quebec is an Indian word that means narrow, because between the city of Quebec and the city of Lévis across, this is the first place where the St. Lawrence River narrows to less than a mile wide. So where the river narrows, that is the meaning of the word Quebec. When I told you 850,000 people live here, 150,000 live across the river on your left, which is the city of Lévis. L-E-V-I-S. Levis. And 700,000 people live here on the north side of the river, which is Quebec. So altogether, Quebec Metro, 850,000 people. Now everything that you see on your right, I call this the cream of the crops of the city. This is a gorgeous area that was all restored 50 years ago to make it look like it was 300-400 years ago. So the foundations of these buildings on your right goes anywhere between 1688 to 1812. So what you see often is businesses at the bottom and private apartments above.
Wow.
We'll go a little further, we'll turn around.
Yeah.
Here we can truly say that we have 2 seasons here, winter and construction. What it is right now. Again on your right, the cobblestone street. It's funny, they spent all summer long, they redid as part on your left, and now they're removing all that pavement again. If you walk up the steps on your right, you end up on the oldest street
On the right.
in Quebec. It is called the Petit Champlain Street. So it's all local craftsmen there. Local fur, local jewelry, local designer. So if you want to do some great quality shopping, this is the street. We'll go a little further, we'll turn around and we'll come back here and I'll tell you more about this love.
It's on the other side.
Quite a few people live across the river on the right and they commute to work here. This side of the river, in Quebec City downtown.
Quebec City.
Quebec City has a few sister cities in the world. There is Albany in New York State, but it backfired as there was a snowstorm going on that day. So actually, Montgomery was killed here. He was buried here. Years later, they moved his remains to the St. Paul's Church in New York. So that was the last official attempts by the Americans to conquer Quebec City. But if you recall, there's been some unofficial attempts by the Americans to conquer Quebec City, and it took place in the 1980s and the 1990s. You remember? The Americans back then were led by street,
Petit.
oldest street in Quebec. Pedestrian
Petit
only.
Chaplain.
Just a gorgeous, gorgeous
Wow,
street.
wow, nice.
A must for you.
Yeah, ato bili.
Visit to enjoy.
Petit Chaplain.
Petit Chaplain.
Petit Chaplain. May mga balls.
Yeah, that's the Hotel Frutina.
Kita niyo sa
On the top.
Wala yung sa klase.
Yeah. Oh, wow. See here? It's nice.
If you want to catch the ferry boat, it's very easy. See the doors on your right? Where it says Société of Traversier, Société de Traversier. You go through these doors on the second floor. There's a waiting area, and that will allow you to get onto the ferry. No underground subway in Quebec City, only public buses at $3.75 to catch a public bus like this one, right? Now look up on your left again. The landmark of Quebec
Hotel
City.
Frutina.
Frontenac. See the roof with the
Right there.
cover. As I said, it has always been built as a hotel, always.
Ganda, no?
And if you look up right of the Chateau Frontenac, we see the monument of
Frontenac.
Samuel de Champlain, the founder of Quebec City. What year again?
1806.
I knew you would remember. Did I tell you there's an exam?
1608.
Alright, so what is it? If you stand, by the way, the hotel upstairs, it is about 3 blocks from where we started the tour. Alright, we started the tour behind the city hall. You walk 3 blocks and you arrive right there at this big hotel. And if you face the monument that is right on flag, it's also the state flag. The blue is for the color of the French regime. White cross is for the presence of the Catholic religion, and fleur-de-lis is for the symbol of the French royalty. The flag left of it with a ship on it, blue flag with a yellow ship, that is the city flag, the Quebec City flag. The ship was the gift of God, which was the name of the ship that Champlain used to come here. And the white line around the flags
That's the Quebec
represents the
City
walls of the city.
flag. And
The other
one
two flags,
is-
it's Paris and France, because here on your left it is called the Paris Place.
This is the
So as I
government.
said, if you have an opportunity
what
to
do you call
must
that?
walk between those buildings, you end up in Place Royale, the birthplace of Quebec City, mostly cobblestone
Government
streets.
flag.
40,000 students go to Laval University.
Laval University.
Laval University was there for 100 years until 1950. And in 1950, moved to Sainte-Foy, a little suburb of Quebec that is about 20 minutes driving distance from here. Behind is the Chateau Frontenac.
Chateau Frontenac.
That the building, if you move to the right, you see that high-rise building with the Quebec flag on top?
Yeah.
That building there is the residence of the Quebec Premier. It's called the Price Building, first skyscraper in the old town of Quebec. So there is the residence of the Premier up there, and the rest of the building are offices. 2008, for the 400th anniversary of Quebec City, lots of special activities. They set up a tightrope that was attached from the residence of the Premier to the Chateau Frontenac that is behind that the silver roof building there. And there's a fellow from France. He walked on the tightrope, no safety net, and did it in 20 minutes. 20 minutes later, he checked in the Chateau Frontenac. After he did it, we asked the Premier to try it. So so what is a premier to us? It is people living in the United States. So what is a state governor to you? It is a premier to us. But what is sad though about this fellow who walked on the tightrope to vote here? You see, you get on the bicycle path on your right. Keep going 8 miles. 8 miles, you arrive at the waterfalls, which are 1.5 the heights of Niagara Falls. People doing the afternoon tour, you will see the waterfalls this afternoon. This is the bus terminal here on the right. You know what is interesting? There is a dentist office in the train station. Pieces in a bad shape, in an antique store. And there's a fellow by the name of Peter Simons. He was an immigrant who, after moving here, became a very successful businessman. And he said that Quebec City has been so kind to him, he always felt like he owed something back to the city. So while on a trip to France, he found into the antique store this water fountain. He
Wow.
bought it, he fixed it, put it back together, and gave it to Quebec City as a gift for its 400th anniversary. The
Wow.
whole cost of $5 million. This is how much you want to say thank you to Quebec City.
Wow.
All the statues on the facade of the Parliament related to the history of Quebec City, founder of Quebec City.
The plains of Abraham.
The plains of Abraham were named after were named. Let me rewind here.
Plains.
The plains of Abraham were named after Abraham Martin. He was he was a river pilot who, after getting married with a French lady, became a farmer, and he settled here as a farmer. He didn't do anything outstanding, just happened to be one of the main owners of the land, and people kept referring as the plains of Abraham. They were created in 1908 to commemorate the 300th anniversary of Quebec City. Covers 240 acres of land and belongs to the Canadian government.
Oh.
300 acres.
The plains of Abraham.
He made
I know
it
you're
like
wondering
amazing.
what's going on with these clotheslines over there. I will tell you if you know.
Coastline? Oh, yeah.
Couple of buildings worth mentioning to your right. The square one with a big antenna, that is the tallest building. The changing of the guards in there in the summer, and they also have guided tours.
She's the citadel.
You'll find also in there
Oh,
the
I
summer
see.
residence of the
I could
Governor General of
I
Canada,
could not get that
which
one.
is a representative of the King of England.
That's the highest building right there.
That's the highest building. This one. And this is
Now,
our hotel.
the battle of the
Lake
plains
Concord
of Abraham.
Hotel. With
We
a
were under the
wandering
French
restaurant.
regime from 1608 until 1759. By 1759, the French, led by Marquis de Montcalm, General Marquis de Montcalm, were inside the walls for the protection against the enemy. And the British, led by General James Wolfe, spent a whole summer onto the island of Orleans.
Oh.
And they wanted to attack before the river would freeze. So after bombarding Quebec City of over 40,000 cannonballs, then they made their way past Quebec unnoticed at night where the cliffs were not so steep. And from there they made it to the plain. Just to give you some orientation here, if I go straight from here, we end up right back at the Chateau Frontenac,
Oh.
the big hotel.
Oh.
Here on your right, this is the armory
Armory?
or the drill hall. This is a building that burned 15 years ago, and they built it the same way. They rebuilt it the same
This
way it
way we
was.
were wondering.
The fire was a plumbing
Really?
job that didn't turn good. Forgot to turn off the lights on a Friday night, and then the fire started, and the roof made of copper